Hi you guys, I was with Maddie and Judy and we covered pages 153 through 165. I'm going to be covering specifically 157 to around 161, around that, but the first topic that I'm going to talk about is social identity theory within deaf culture. Social identity theory suggests that group relationships and social orientations are important for an identity. If a minority status individual is not comfortable with a minority group, he or she will not join that specific group. If an individual is able to see this minority group as an empowering and worth the experience, the person will move to join that group. A good example is Max's example, which is in our deaf culture book. Growing up being deaf and the only deaf student, and then going to a school with all capital D deaf students attending the school. It gives a lot of good points about the development of deaf identity and just the process of it. And then I just added in a question that was emphasized within the book of the reading that I read. How would you feel if you did not belong to any group in high school or college? And I thought that was just a good thing to think about as us being hearing people and most likely being in a friend group. Social identity continued. A study was conducted that used the social activity scale to measure social orientation using 451 high school students in mainstream schools. Researchers found that the majority of the students, 37.1%, were socially oriented to both hearing and deaf peers, while 30.3% were mostly oriented to deaf peers and 12.4% were oriented to hearing peers. The remainder 20% were not oriented to either group. The results conducted that those deaf students who were oriented to deaf peers had profound hearing levels and preferred to use sign language or knew it, while those oriented to hearing peers preferred spoken language and had less severe hearing levels. The main idea that came out of this study was that language and communication competency help support relationships no matter the type of person. Moving on, racial identity development framework. Theorists have studied how people in racial minority groups become aware of their racial identities. A model was created to focus on how members of oppressed racial or ethnic groups develop a positive identity in difficult situations. Excuse me. This model can be known as the Racial Cultural Identity Development Model, created by Atkinson, Morten, and Sue. Next, we'll go over the 5 stages that the racial cultural identity development stages are developed into. The first stage is pre-encounter or conformity. They believe that one should integrate into the majority culture. This means conforming to its values. Most often, this means also conforming to white culture values because that is the majority of our culture. Stage 2 is dissonance/encounter. The person's experiences or things that they hear about discrimination, oppression, all of those can have an impact on how they think about this certain group. There is a realization that conforming to the majority culture is not going to work. The person starts the process of thinking differently about her or his racial cultural identity. Stage 3, resistance and immersion. The person supports only the minority culture and goes against the majority culture, meaning they find their small group that they really conform to and really like, and they kind of steer away from what a lot of majority people do. Racism, oppression, and discrimination are important topics within this stage because that's where a lot of people get their ideas from and their topics of discussion and how they feel. And feelings are a very strong part in this section as well. Stage 4 will be the next stage, internalization/introspection. The minority identity is internalized and appreciated, meaning that they really accept themselves for who they are and what group they want to be a part of. The person now feels more comfortable about reaching out to other groups. And then the last stage, stage 5, integrative awareness. They can appreciate oneself, feel secure inside, and can appreciate other cultures as well. They recognize the strengths and the problems in each culture. Thank you.